Edwin has been told by Hilda that her husband is still alive, but in prison. He returns home to live his own life.
Selina, it'll be Mr. Clayhanger.
Yes, miss.
Conserve tea as soon as you like now.
Yes, miss.
Good afternoon, Selina.
Good afternoon,
Good
Mr.
afternoon,
Clayhanger.
Miss Orgreave.
Shall I take your coat, sir?
Thank you.
Quite sharp, isn't it, Mr. Clayhanger?
Yes, it is a bit.
Scarcely put my nose outside all day.
How is your father?
Oh, it's better, I think. A bit gloomy, that's all. I told you I'm relying on you to cheer him up.
Well, I'll do my best.
He'll be so pleased to see you. It's bound to do him good. Shall we go in? Here he is there.
Edwin, how nice to
Now,
see you.
don't get up, Mrs. Orgreave. Oh, hello, Edwin. Good afternoon,
Don't you
Mr.
get up
Orgreave.
either, Osmond. You're supposed to be resting. I'm sure Edwin understands.
No, don't get up, Mr. Orgreave.
How are you, Edwin?
I'm very well, thank you, Mrs. Orgreave, and you?
Oh, I'm very well indeed. Poor Osmond hasn't been too good, though.
Oh, he's much better now. You can see he looks nearly mended, don't you think so, Mr. Clayhanger?
Yes, you do, Mr. Orgreave.
Still having to take things a bit easy.
Sit down, Edwin. Make yourself
Thank you
comfortable.
very much.
Sit anywhere you like. Have you seen my new curtains, Edwin? I don't think you've been since they were up.
I like them very much, Mrs. Orgreave. You've made one or two changes in here.
Oh, and high time. I was quite ashamed. I don't think Janet likes the changes, though.
Of course I do, Mother.
Well, you said you didn't want them done.
I used to like the room as it was, that's all.
I said to Osmond, I felt positively ashamed for all my married children to see the room looking as it was. Well, Marian's got a lovely drawing room herself. And as for Alicia, well, quite takes my breath away, her drawing room does. I've got more grandchildren than children now. I never thought to have.
Have you really? Let me see.
I've got 9.
10, Mother. She's begetting her own grandchildren now.
Oh, bless me. I was forgetting Tom's young.
Oh.
Better not tell Tom that. Here, give me those eyeglasses, dear. You'll never get them right with the linen handkerchief. Where's your bit of chamois?
Oh. They're all such lovely children. I'm making this for Marian's youngest now.
Mother never stops. She seems to think if she's not plying the needle, the poor little dear will have nothing to wear.
Well, I like them to have things. I see nothing wrong in that.
Of course there isn't, Mother, dear.
Do you remember the influenza of '89, Edwin?
Do I? Yes, I fancy I do remember a sort of epidemic.
I should think so, indeed.
Oh, well, I'm like you. I thought it was an epidemic, but it seems it wasn't. It was a pandemic. What is a pandemic? This pandemic of 1889 has been followed by epidemics and by an endemic prevalence in some areas. So you see how many demics there are. I think they'd call it an epidemic we've got in this town now. Maybe said that there are 3 well-marked types of the disease. Oh, I think I've had them all. All 3. As a rule, the attack begins with a feeling of
I heard
nausea.
the Vicar of St. Peter's is very ill indeed.
What, Heath? Influenza?
Yes. I didn't tell you before. I thought it might put you down again.
He's so changed, isn't he? It's not just that he's older. He's lost his zest. That's what it is. Not so many books in here as there used to be.
No, not since Master Tom decided to take them away.
Oh, come now, Osmond. They were his books.
Suppose we light some gases and draw the curtains and blinds.
I like these, shall I?
Thank you. Thank you, Selina. Yes. Will you light the other lamp and draw the curtains and blinds?
Yes, miss.
What about Janet? She's the kindest person I know. The kindest, the most dignified, the most capable. And yet people would say she's an old maid, no? I suppose she is.
Thank you, Selina.
I'll bring the sandwiches now, miss.
Thank you. Tea, Mother?
Oh, thank you, dear.
Cheer him up. How can I be gay and frivolous in this house now?
Tea, Mr. Clayhanger.
Thank you. Well, all right, so I'm sorry for them. But what about me? I'm a fine one to talk about zest, aren't I? Here it is, 2 weeks into the year, and what am I planning to improve things? Nothing at all.
Tea, Father.
Thank you.
I shall finish this jacket tomorrow.
Shall you, Mother?
Oh, yes.
Anyway, what else could I do? Go chasing about after a married woman? That's just stupid, isn't it, eh?
Where's the sandwiches got to?
There they are now.
Telegram, Mum.
Give it to me, Selina.
That's my telegram. How's it addressed?
Orgreave, Bleakridge, Bursley.
Then it's mine.
Oh, no, it isn't. You have your business telegram sent here. You must take the consequences. I always open telegrams that come here, don't I, Mother?
Oh, dear, I hope it's nothing, well...
Just read that. It was for me, after all.
I'm sending George down today. Please meet 6:30 train at Knipe. Love, Hilda.
Bless me. You don't mean to say she's letting that boy travel all alone. What next?
Where's the envelope sent from?
Victoria.
Well, then she's brought him up to London. She's putting him on the train at Euston. That's it.
Only there is no London train that gets to Knipe at 6:30. She must mean the 7:12, 7:14, I forget.
Oh, that's near enough for Hilda.
You sure she doesn't mean any other train?
She can't mean any other train. There is no other.
Because if the poor little thing finds no one to meet him at night...
Don't worry, dear. The poor little thing would soon be engaging somebody's attention. Trust him.
Well, then why?
Don't ask me. No doubt we shall get a letter tomorrow after George has come and told us everything. Poor dear. I'm glad she's doing so much better now.
Is she?
Oh, yes. She's got a regular bustling partner, and they're that busy they scarcely know what to do. But they only keep one servant.
If I didn't think it was too cold, I'd come with you tonight.
Now, Osmond, you know how drafty those trains to Knipe are.
I'll go, shall I?
Well, I'm sure he'd be delighted to see you.
Oh, would you, Edwin? It would be so kind of you.
Of course I shall.
Loop line train, this train, Cambridge.
I told you I should come back, didn't I? I made Mama let me come. I told you I would.
You really should have said goodbye to those people who looked after you from London, George.
Didn't I say goodbye? I jolly meant to.
I knew she meant the 7:12 train.
Mama wouldn't let me come at first, Mr. Clayhanger. Then this morning she suddenly said yes.
Let's get this luggage up, son of a gun.
I've been doing a lot of painting. I've been painting all the time. I did one of that clay pit you took me to see, and some more of the works. I've got them all in my trunk. Mama says I should leave them, but I said no, I've got to show them to Mr. Clayhanger. And hey, what about those frames as we came in tonight? The man in the carriage said it was blast furnaces. He was going to Manchester to start a new job. You could do a good painting of those blast furnaces.
Dare say you could.
What's the matter with you, my dear? You're an oven yourself.
I'm very thirsty. If I don't have something to drink soon, I don't know what I shall do.
There won't be time to get something at the refreshment room.
Well, I might,
Never mind. In 20 minutes we shall be in the house. No, you must keep your overcoat buttoned.
But I'm very hot.
Catch a chill if you don't keep it buttoned.
How long you been like that, George? You won't like it when you started, surely.
No, it came on in the train.
Certainly not well.
Don't you think he's grown?
You're very late, Eddie.
Yes, I know.
Did you fetch him all right?
Yes, we did. But it turns out he's got influenza. Got a terrible fever. Had to go round for Dr. Sterling.
I thought Janet said he'd had influenza.
Yes, he did. Not so long ago, but it seems there's no doubt he's got it again.
Well, I don't know.
Came on the train, he said.
I'll see what I can do about getting supper together.
Does that mean that she'll come?
Afternoon, Sue.
Afternoon,
Begging
James.
your pardon, Sue, just coming across to have a word.
Nothing wrong, is there?
Which Townley, Sue? I've had to send him off. He's not fit to work, he isn't, Sue.
Influenza, is it?
I fear it is, Sue. That's Tow and a lad as we've got off now.
You're managing all right?
As best we can, Sue.
You did right sending them off anyway. We don't want it spreading. Dashed awful thing, this influenza.
Yes, it's cast a gloom right over the town. I've a cousin who's very poor.
Oh dear, I am sorry.
May I venture to ask as if your household was keeping
Oh
good
yes,
and healthy,
we're all
Sue?
right so
Oh,
far.
I'm glad
There's
to
a
hear
boy
it, Sue.
staying with the Orgreaves at the moment, though. He's been pretty ill for 4 days now.
I hear as how the Duke of Clarence is worse.
Sir?
What is it, Betty?
Miss Clayhanger said to say she had to go out, sir. She's gone over Mr. Orgreaves' house to help with the nursing, sir.
Oh, is the boy worse then?
I don't know, sir. She said I was to see you got your mail properly, sir.
Thank you, Betty. Is it ready?
Yes, sir. If you like to go in, I'll bring it right away, sir.
I'll just wash my hands. Won't take a minute.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Betty. You've got to hand it to Maggie. She's a wonderful housekeeper. She gives me something money can't buy. If that poor kid's worse, she's bound to come.
Good evening, my dear. Is Miss Maggie in?
No, Mum.
Oh.
She's at the Orgrave house, Mum.
Oh, I see. Well, is Mr. Edwin in?
He's having his meal, Mum.
Well, I won't disturb him for more than a moment, then.
Mrs. Amp, sir.
Now, Edwin, dear, you must promise straight off you'll not let your auntie disturb you one bit. No, not even to shake hands. I won't have it. I know how hard you have to work, and I won't let your meal go to ruin. In fact, until you've sat down again, I promise I'll not say another word. I'll just sit opposite. You go on now.
All right. Maggie's over at the Orgreaves, helping Janet out.
Oh. They keep very friendly, those two.
Janet and Maggie, they're friendly enough when they can be of use to each other.
How kind Miss Janet was when your father was ill. I'm sure Maggie feels she must do all she can to repay that kindness. I shall be always grateful of Miss Janet's help. Oh, she's a grand girl. A grand girl.
Yes.
She's still waiting for you.
I expect the kid must be pretty bad.
Yes. And probably Mrs. Orgreave is more on the way than anything else. And Mr. Orgreave only just out of bed, as they say. That young lady must have her hands full, my word. What a blessing it is she has made such friends with Maggie. You all seem very devoted to that child.
I don't know that Maggie's so desperately keen on the infant.
She's not like you about him, that's sure. I wonder the mother doesn't come down to him.
It's not serious enough for that.
Well, I'm not so sure. The vicar is dead.
Is he? What's that got to do with it?
Well, what about poor Maggie? Not that anything's ever been said, but everyone knows that she's, well...
When did you hear about the vicar? It isn't in this afternoon's paper.
I've only just heard. He died at 4 o'clock.
And my God, she's come straight here to tell.
And the Duke of Clarence is no better. And I'm afraid it's all over with Cardinal Manning.
Oh, hello, Auntie. Here. You didn't say you were coming up with me, Matt, this morning.
Oh, I just called.
Everything all right? I gave particular orders about the eggs.
As right as rain. How are things, Cross?
Well, that's one reason I came back sooner than a month. The doctor's just been. His temperature's getting higher and higher. I wish you'd go over as soon as you've finished. If you ask me, I think they ought to telegraph to his mother. But Janet doesn't seem to think so.
Well, what does Dr. Sterling say?
Well, he says it might be as well to wait till tomorrow, but then you know he's like that, a bit.
So they say.
Have you seen the kid?
About 2 minutes. It's pitiable to watch him.
Why? Is he in pain?
Not what you'd call pain, no.
But he's so upset, worried about himself. He's got a terrific fever on him. I'm certain he's delirious sometimes. Poor little thing.
You don't mean to say there's actual danger?
Well,
I expect you've heard about the poor vicar.
no. He's not... Oh, we should go across, Edwin.
I'll go now.
Ah, glad you came, Edwin. We can't make up our minds what to do about George. He certainly isn't too good. My feeling is...
Thank goodness you're here. Janet says we shouldn't telegraph, but I'm sure I don't know.
Well,
Seems
might
to
be
me
advisable.
we should.
Never be sure.
Oh, he's so poorly, Edwin. His mother should be here. What do you think, Edwin?
Well, yes, if he's that ill.
He is. But Janet...
Perhaps we should send a wire.
We should. I know we should. I wish you'd speak to her, Edwin.
Upstairs?
Won't do any harm.
No point in telling them about the vicar.
You know about the vicar of St. Peter's?
No.
Died at 4 o'clock.
Oh, dear me. Dear me.
Janet. Here's Edwin.
I just thought I'd look in and inquire. What's he like now?
Well, he's not really awake, but he's very restless and hot. His temperature's 104.
Mr. Edwin thinks you ought to telegraph.
Do you?
Well, I think you might wire how things are and let her come if she thinks fit.
Just so.
The telegram couldn't be delivered tonight. It's nearly 7:30 now.
But it would be delivered first thing in the morning, so she'd have more time to make arrangements if she wanted to.
What if you think like that?
I'll telegraph myself if you like. Of course she knows. You've written to her.
Oh, yes.
I'll go down to the post office right away. Cannon, 59 Preston Street, Brighton. George's temperature, 104. I should sign Janet's name. No, I shouldn't. I want to sign mine.
It won't be delivered tonight.
No, I know.
Saxpence, please.
It's done. I dare say she'll be in London by now. Did Miss Maggie leave a message when she went over to the Orgreaves?
No, she didn't, sir.
Thank you, Betty.
Sir.
She must be nearly here. If she's coming. Of course she is.
Why didn't she come?
Thanks ever so much. Good night.
There's a light moving out there. It isn't the Sunday, is it? It sounds like the Sunday. Hello, Charlie.
Edwin! Come on in out of that pea soup. Come on.
I heard a voice across the garden. I thought it was you.
Too right it was. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. What are you doing here?
Got dragged here, didn't I? As medical consultant. Got dragged here by Hilda Lessways, old chap. By Mrs. Cannon, I mean. Came to my surgery in Ealing, would you believe? Told me I got to come up and have a look at her kid.
Is she here?
Upstairs, of course. We'd have been here earlier if it hadn't been for that damn train. That loop train thing. Express was on time, but the blasted loop train thing didn't get to Bleakridge till 10:30. Drop your coat and come into the drawing room. The pater's in there.
She's here. She's upstairs. I sent a telegram signed Edwin, and she came. Why am I getting into the state? Simply because she's here.
Hello again, Edwin.
Mr. Orgrave, I thought I heard Charlie's voice across the garden.
Yes, so he says. Well, you've had your consultation, you eminent specialists. What's the result?
I've told you he's evidently a little better, Dad.
Yes, but what sort of influenza is it? I'm hoping to learn something now that you've arrived.
What sort of influenza is it? What do you mean?
But is there no real danger?
Well, as I understand it, there are 3 types of influenza. Sterling will talk about anything except influenza.
You've been reading the BMJ, and you needn't pretend you haven't.
Well, what if I have? As I say, there are 3 types.
30. You might be nearer the mark with 30. Fact is, you see, that this division into types is all very well in theory, but in practice, it won't work out. Now, for instance, what this kid has won't square with any of your 3 types. It's purely febrile, that's what it is. Rare. Decidedly rare, but less rare in children than in adults. At any rate, in my experience. If his temperature wasn't so high, I should say the thing might last for days, weeks even. I've known it. First question I put was, has he been in a stupor? He had. Well, it may recur. What with that, and the headache, and the absence of nervous symptoms.
Oh, you're a devilish wonderful fellow.
You and your British Medical Journal.
Oh, I know, I'm an old man.
Oh. Hello, Mr. Clayhanger. I didn't know you were here.
I thought I heard Charlie's voice, so I popped across.
So you know then? Seems I've got to go to bed. Hilda insists I do. Father, you must go to bed too. Mother's gone. It's frightfully late. Come along now.
Oh, well, if that's the order.
It is. Charlie, you might run upstairs and see everything's all right before I go. I should get up again at 4.
I'll be off.
Here, hold on a bit. Wait till I come down. Let's have a yarn. You don't want to go to bed yet.
Well,
you stay where you are. It won't be very long.
Good night, Edwin.
Good night, Mr. Orgrave.
Good night, Janet.
Good night, Father. Seems the loop line train was late.
Yes, so Charlie said.
Still don't know how she managed to get Charlie to come down.
No.
Still, I'm awfully glad she did.
Oh, yes.
You're going to stay and talk to Charlie, are you?
Well, yes. It seems years since I've seen him. I'm not really tired.
Well, I'd better do what I'm told and go to bed.
I should reckon you're dead beat.
Suppose I am, yes. Good night, Mr. Clayhanger.
Good night, then, Miss Orgrave. Auntie's right. She is a grand girl. How did she do it? Oh, I don't know. Went up to Ealing and brought Charlie down here. He's got his practice to work at, hasn't he? What gave her the idea? She must have quite some faith in him. Means they must know each other pretty well. I never thought they knew each other as well as that.
He's pretty calm for the moment.
I say.
What's up?
Rather delicate, wasn't it? You coming down here and taking Sterling's case off him?
My boy, you may take it from me that delicate is not the word. Have a drop?
Well, it's not often that I do, but I will tonight. Steady on with the whiskey, old chap.
On doctor's orders. Good health.
Cheerio.
Yes, my boy. You may well say delicate. Truth is, if I hadn't seen at once that Sterling was a very decent sort of chap and very friendly here, I might have funked it. Yes, I might. He came in just after we arrived, so I saw him alone in the breakfast room, made a clean breast of it, and put myself in his hands. Of course, he appreciated the situation at once, and considering he'd never seen her, it was rather clever of him.
Is she likely to be coming downstairs?
No. I suppose people rather like that Scotch accent of his down here.
They say he makes over 1,000 a year already.
The deuce he does. It beats me how some chaps can come along and walk straight into anything they want, whatever it is.
What do you think of him as a doctor?
Seems all right.
He's got a great reputation down here.
Yes, I should say he's quite all right.
How came it that Mrs. Cannon came and rummaged you out? The old man still sticks to the old brand of Scotch.
My dear fellow, I know no more than you. I was perfectly staggered, I can tell you that. I hadn't seen her since before she was married. Only heard of her again just lately through Janet. I suppose it was Janet who told her I was at Ealing. Huh. It's an absolute fact that just at the first blush, I didn't even recognize her.
Didn't you?
I did not. She came into the surgery as if she'd come out of the next room and I'd only seen her yesterday. And she just asked me to come away with her at once to Bursley. I thought at first she was off her nut. But she wasn't. She showed me your telegram.
The dickens she did.
Yes. I told her I couldn't possibly leave. She asked me why not. I said, well, what about my patients here? She asked me if any of them were dying. I said no, but I couldn't leave them all to my partner. I don't think she realized before that I was in partnership. She stuck to it worse than ever then. I asked her why she wanted just me. I said all doctors were very much the same and so on. But it was no use. Fact is, you know, Hilda has always had a great notion of me as a doctor. Can't imagine why. Kept it to herself, of course. Jolly close, as she did most things. But I've noticed it now and then. You know, one of those tremendous beliefs she has. You're another of her beliefs, if you want to know.
How do you know that?
How do I know? I could tell in a second by the way she showed me your telegram. Oh, and besides, that's an old story, my young friend. You needn't flatter yourself it wasn't common property at one time.
Oh, rot. Well, go on.
Well, I then explained to her there was such a thing as medical etiquette. You should have heard Hilda on medical etiquette. You should have heard her on that lay. Medical etiquette versus the dying child. I simply had to chuck that. I said to her, but suppose you hadn't caught me at home. I might have been out for the day. 100 things. It was sheer accident that she caught me. At last she said, look here, Charlie. Will you come or won't you?
Well, what did you say?
I should tell you she went down on her knees. What should you have said, eh, my boy? What could I say? They've got you when they put it that way. Especially a woman like she is. She was simply terrific. I tell you, I wouldn't go through all that again, not for something. And I wouldn't have done it for any other woman, not much.
And why did you do it for her?
Something about her, I don't know. There's not many women knocking about like her. She gets hold of you. She's nothing at all for about 6 months at a stretch. And then she has 1 minute of the grand style. That's the sort of woman she is. Understand? Oh, but I expect you don't know her as we do.
Oh, yes, I understand. She must be tremendously fond of the kid.
You bet she is. Absolute passion. What sort is he?
Oh, he's all right. I've never seen them together. I never thought she was so particularly keen on him.
Don't you make any mistake. I believe women are often like that about an only child when they've had a rough time. I've never made out why she married that swine, and I don't think anyone else has either.
Did you know him?
Not a bit. But I sort of understood he was a regular outsider. Do you know how long she's been a widow?
No. I've barely seen her.
What's the matter? Got pins and needles?
Well, any fidgets?
I hope this isn't one of your preliminaries for clearing out and leaving me alone. Here, where's that glass of yours? Let's have another drink. There we are.
What's that noise? Did you... Mrs. Cannon, she just knocked and went off. I expect it's you she wants. You're another of her beliefs. So, it was common property at one time, eh? He's right about her. He's absolutely right. 1 minute of the grand style. Damn him. He's judged her very well. And that 1 minute is priceless. Beyond anything. I was just wondering whether I could be of any use.
It's all right. I just have to go to Sterling's to get a drug I want.
Is he worse?
Yes. That is, you never can tell with a child. They're up and down all over the place inside of an hour.
I'll come with you.
No. You better stay here in case.
Shall I go into the bedroom?
Certainly.
I'll say, when you get to the gate, you know the house, you go up the side entry, the night bell's on the left-hand side, rather...
All right.
Rather...
Has he gone?
Yes, he's gone. He told me I'd better come in here, so I came.
Have that chair.
Surely his temperature's gone up.
Yes. It's nearly 105. Can't last like this, it won't. I've been through it with him before, but not quite so bad.
I didn't think anyone could have influenza twice so soon.
Neither did I. This change has come on quite suddenly. 2 hours ago, less than 2 hours ago, there was scarcely a sign of that rash.
What is it?
Charlie says it's nothing particular.
What's Charlie gone for?
I don't know. Isn't it a good thing I brought him?
I don't know whether you know or not, but we're great pals, the infant and I.
You think I don't know all about that? He wouldn't be here now if it hadn't been for that. You're the only person he's ever really cared for. And I can tell you, he likes you better than he likes me.
How do you know that?
I know. By the way he talks and looks.
If he takes after his mother, that's no sign.
What do you mean if he takes after?
Could anyone tell your real preferences from the way you talked and looked?
No one but you could say a thing like that. Edwin.
I must tell you something that nobody at all knows except George's father. And probably no one ever will know. Miss Gailey knew, but she's dead.
Yes?
George's father was put in prison for bigamy. George is illegitimate.
You don't mean it.
I'm not a married woman. I once thought I was, but I wasn't. That's all.
But
what?
You said 6 or 7 years, didn't you? Surely they don't give that long for bigamy.
Oh, no. That was for something else. When he came out of prison the first time, they arrested him again instantly. It was in Scotland. I believe he's in Dartmoor now.
Oh, I see.
That must be Charlie.
I'd best let him in.
Yes. I told him.
I've got to take a key. I meant to take the big key and I forgot.
She's an amazing woman, that's all. How do you fathom her? She's just amazing, that's what she is. She's not married after all. She's not married. Never was. But supposing after all the kid doesn't come through.
I brought you a cup of tea.
Oh.
I thought you might like a cup of tea.
Oh, what time is it?
Near on 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock? I only meant to lay down for a minute or two. I meant to be down at the shop.
Janet told me you've been over there all night. So I thought I'd best leave you to sleep it out.
How is George? Any news?
He's much better.
Oh, good.
Yes, it isn't it?
I better get up and get down to the shop.
Are you feeling all right?
Oh, yes, I'm just tired.
You were simply burning.
No, I'm fine.
Well, you drink your tea and see how you feel then.
I'm not going to die, am I? Good God, it's only influenza. People don't die.
Here. Here. You'll be thirsty.
Hmm?
Drink this.
Hmm. Ooh.
How's George?
Oh, he's quite enjoying himself now. Not the least concerned that he's losing me.
Does seem a shame that you have to go.
Well, I can't stay any longer. After all, I have my living to earn.
Well, I'm sure it won't be long before he's fit to travel.
Oh, no.
We shall miss you both. Not that any of us would have wished George to be ill, of course, but it's quite brought the house to life having you both here.
Oh, I shall miss all of you. You've all been so kind.
Don't be silly now.
Well, it's true. You have. I'm getting quite sentimental.
Anyway, good heavens, you're not leaving us yet. There's at least 3 hours before you have to set off. Well, that'll be Maggie.
Maggie?
Maggie Clayhanger. She said she'd pop round this afternoon.
I've got to see him. I've got to. I can't just go without. I've got to see him.
Tell me, how is it?
Oh, he's well on the mend. Dr. Reed let him get up this afternoon.
Did he?
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
He's so weak, of course, but he's sitting downstairs by the fire.
Oh, that is good news. Look, come into the drawing room. Hilda's in there. Maggie, Hilda.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Cannon.
Afternoon, Miss Clayhanger.
Maggie was just telling me that Mr. Clayhanger's been allowed to get up.
Yes, so I heard. I'm so glad.
And how is George?
Oh, he's progressing very well.
Good.
I thought we'd all have tea in the bedroom with him. Would you like to?
Yes, of course, if that's what's arranged.
Let's go up now, shall we? I've told Selina to bring the tray as soon as it's ready. I'm sure you'll be so pleased to see you.
I wonder if you'd mind if I didn't come up just yet. I've just a slight headache. Nothing serious, but I shall be all right if I sit down for a moment.
Oh, dear, I'm
No,
sorry.
do go up, please do. I shan't be many minutes.
All right. Hilda's going back to Brighton today, you know.
No, I didn't know.
It's such a shame, but she has to. Georgie, here's someone to see you.
Please, sir, there's a lady.
Who is it?
Oh, I don't know, sir. Shall I ask?
Yes, go and ask her name and then tell Miss Maggie.
Miss Clayhanger's gone out, sir.
Well, run along. It's Hilda. No, it can't be. Supposing it is.
Please, sir, it's a Mrs. Cannon. It's you she wants.
Show her in. My God.
Mrs. Cannon, sir.
Thank you, Betty. Will you sit down, Mrs. Cannon?
No, I'm sure you're sitting there.
No, no, please. Well, you must sit down.
No,
Yes, please.
not in your chair.
Well, then, please.
Thank you. Well, you must sit down too.
Oh, no.
Yes, yes, you must. You've been ill, you must. I just came here to say goodbye. I knew you couldn't come out, and I'm leaving tonight.
Surely he's not fit to travel.
George? Oh, no, I'm leaving him behind. But you see, I mustn't stay away longer than is necessary.
Charlie's gone back.
Oh, yes. 2 days ago. He left you a message.
Yes, Maggie gave it to me. By the way, I'm sorry she's not in.
I have just seen her.
Oh.
She came to visit Janet. They've both gone upstairs to have tea with George. So, I put my things on and came round here at once.
No other woman was ever like this woman. do I love her or hate her? Why doesn't she say something? I say, you might have told me earlier what you told me on Wednesday night. Why didn't you tell me when I was in Brighton?
I wanted to. But I couldn't. I really couldn't bring myself to do it.
Instead of telling me a lie, I think you might have trusted me more than that.
A lie? Oh, no, I told you the truth. I told you he was in prison.
You told me your husband was in prison.
You don't know how much I wanted to tell you. I never wrote to you because there was nothing to say. Nothing.
Never wrote to me? You mean...
Yes, then. I knew. It was because I couldn't...
What did you say?
I say, I couldn't help what I did. I knew you'd know I couldn't help it. I couldn't write. It was best for me to be silent. What else was there for me to do except be silent? I knew you'd know I couldn't help it.
Of course I knew that. I'm sitting here in my father's chair and I'm done for by a woman whose child's got no name. What would Auntie say? What would Clara say? What would Albert say? Well, they're a different race. They belong to a dead world, don't they, eh?
I shall tell you. You will never understand what I had to go through and how I couldn't help myself, but I shall tell you. You must understand. Oh. My heart never kissed any man but you. How often and often and often have I kissed you, and you never knew. It was for a message I sent George here. A message to you. I named him after you. Do you think that if dreams could make him your child, he wouldn't be yours? You don't know me.
Don't I? Care for problems? What do I care? I shall face the exquisite burden of life